What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day. Slight breeze. I just watered all the plants, all the bushes. You let a few days go by and you start noticing the plants look exhausted, and then you give them a little bit of water and the next day they're back. So there's a line that if you cross, they die and they don't come back no matter how much water you give them. So back in June, when my daughter's school was coming to an end for the year, I was in the hall there, in the lobby, and one of my daughter's friends from her class, his father was there with the son, and we started talking. Very nice guy. Got along with this guy. Good company, very interesting person. And so he was telling me that his son's grandfather had died, and he was sending him to Australia for the funeral. And he said, yeah, my son's young, he hasn't experienced a relative dying. And I said, yeah, he's young, you get a little bit older, you get a lot of that. And we talked for a bit. So summertime came, summertime went, you know, life goes on. And as he was leaving that day in June, he told me, I'll talk to you, you know, when school starts again. Well, school started again. And at the end of the day, when I picked up my daughter the first day of school, she informed me that that the father had died, and it just blew me away. Unexpected, obviously. I mean, he was a young person, and at first I was hoping that she misheard. Maybe she heard the grandfather had died, which I had known, you know, that was the case. But the more time went on, the more I realized that, nope, that's exactly what happened, and it really saddened me. This was one of the best people I met at the school, one of the best people. You know, there's other people that were okay, but he was above them. And good conversation, played the piano, we would talk about music. And I actually met him, I was in the Apple store, and he was standing there. I don't know what he was doing. He was standing there looking at stuff, but he was standing next to me. And I didn't know him, he didn't know me, but my daughter, she said, that's, you know, my friend's father from school. And so I introduced myself, and he asked me, he goes, oh, I know you, do you know me? He goes, how do you know me? And I told him, and he goes, oh, and he was very friendly, really nice guy. So anyway, just wanted to mention that, you know, really made me sad that that happened. Life is mercifully brief. You never know. You're here today, tomorrow you're not here. You know, I'm making this video today, and next year, tomorrow, next week, whatever, I'm not here. You never know. That's the way life is. But, you know, you wish that your parents would live a little bit longer than, you know, you don't want them to die young either. 85 is good. They get to be 85, you're like, maybe 90 is better. But I am gonna miss this person. Just talented individual, and just like I said, caught me by surprise. Those things always get you by surprise, you know, unless somebody's dying from some illness and you know about it. People that are young and strong and they look healthy, you know, you hear they died, they're like, oh, and you know, death is so final. It's not like they say, yeah, he got injured in a car accident, he's gonna be fine. No, that's it. So yeah, but he was a really, really good guy. Really good guy. Like I said, one of the best people I've met in that school. Maybe the best. But he's up there with a couple other people that I met that were really good as well. But he was up there. He was up there. I'm gonna miss talking to him. I used to go there, and when I'd see him, he'd stop by and start talking to me. No avoiding you. You know how some people are. They're afraid of their own shadow. They see somebody, they don't want to make eye contact. They want to go the other way. They want to go out the side door. You know, introverts. He wasn't like that, at least not in my experience. So, yeah. Anyway, that's life. What can you do? You know, that's life. That's the way of the world. The way of the world. I wish success to his son. You know, hard times, but he's a good kid, and I think he'll be fine. Anyway, having a bit of cold water here. Yeah, nice blue sky out. I see a cat over there. This cat's become very friendly towards me. Will come by, go by my leg, and then give a look. The other day, I gave it, I usually give this kitten dry food. Oh, there it goes. But the other day, I bought some really good, what is it called, tiki or something? It's really good cat food, high-end, high quality, and loved it. Right there. So yeah, when I was a kid, you know, you'd say, yeah, that kid's shy, or, you know, that girl or whatever, a little bit shy, hides when people go by, doesn't make eye contact. And then I realized when I got older, adults are that way too. Adults are that way. And you don't gain any special skills the older you get in terms of determining truth. If, and this has been my experience, if you tell somebody an extremely negative story about somebody, say you malign somebody, you make up something, and you ruin their reputation, you will get, out of 10 people that hear the story, 9 of them will believe it. Those 9 will tell more people. Before you know it, that person's life will get ruined based on something that you said that wasn't true. And I've always found people like that to be bunny brains. You don't ask for any evidence, something that'll show that what this person that maligned this person is saying is true. You don't want anything, you don't care. I mean, just the fact that somebody spoke those words makes it true. I don't know, I find people like that disgusting. I hear something, and if it sounds really, you know, far-fetched, or something that you hear and you go, yeah, that sounds like somebody's trying to hurt this person's reputation, or, you know, career, or something like that, you start thinking about it and saying, maybe it's not true. And I have taken the road where I try and give the benefit of the doubt, unless there's good evidence. Now, I will say that sometimes there's no evidence and the rumor, the false story, is true. But I'd rather get caught not believing something that is true but negative than the opposite to be true. In other words, you know, if somebody comes up to me and says whatever, I don't know, something extremely bad about somebody, I'd rather, if there's no evidence to support that, I'd rather not believe it than get caught a sucker believing it and it isn't true. You'll get somebody afraid of another person, and they'd be like, why are you afraid? And they'll be like, oh, you didn't hear? And they'll tell you some stupid story, and you're like, you know that that's not true, right? You know that that's not true? Maybe you want to get some IQ points into your brain before you start believing in nonsense. But in my experience, the more negative the story is, the more believable it is. Because I think people, they feel like if you have somebody with a negative thing in their life, even if it's not true, it deflects attention from you, and you feel your problems a little bit less if there's somebody else in the room that has something negative about them that's been said. It doesn't have to be true. So, you know, you can't respect people like that believe in stuff like that. You want to tell them, you know, would you like it if somebody went around saying things about you that weren't true? Yeah, that's why, to me, humans are not that impressive when it comes to that. You know, they don't have the ability to analyze and see why maybe something isn't true based on the evidence that they do know. But I just don't believe in things just because somebody said it, especially when it sounds really far-fetched. I mean, yeah, if somebody says to me, oh, I saw Jack at the mall, I don't go, well, you have any evidence for that? But if somebody says to me, I saw, you know, Bob, and he beat his wife, and she was going to the emergency room, and she had a black eye, and she looked really bad. I want to know what the evidence is that you have. How do I know you're not enemies with this person? How do I know you're not spreading this because you're trying to hurt somebody's reputation, right? And that's just one example. It could be anything. It could be some guy will say, I took him out shopping and he was shoplifting. Meantime, that never happened, and you're just trying to hurt somebody's reputation. Or at work, you have somebody who's very eager, wants to get your position. Maybe you're in a higher position, maybe you're the manager, maybe they're one step below you, so they go and they make up a story. They say, yeah, I saw him sleeping on the job, or I saw him stealing money from the register. Meantime, that never happened. I always say, show me the evidence. Show me the evidence. If you don't have the evidence, shut your trap. And for those people that believe without evidence, you're stupid. You really are. You're really stupid. I mean, that is a disgrace that you would ruin somebody's reputation based on nonsense, based on something that is, obviously, made up. And I try and look at the other side of it too. I say, well, if I heard something like that, would I be able to determine that was not true? Well, I may not be able to determine if it's true or not, but also I'll be very cautious and not use it by spreading it around and, like a fire, spreading it around so that person's reputation gets tarnished based on nothing more than my gut feeling that it's true. So I never, ever like people like that. Never like people like that. Like, you want to get into their face and take your finger and say, you're a stupid person. You're a stupid person. You're believing in something that if it was flipped and it was you who was being maligned, you'd be squealing like a pig, like in Deliverance. So, yeah, I hear things you'll hear like, something, you'll read a book or some story about somebody who was falsely charged, falsely convicted. There are people in prison right now, 100% innocent, and they're doing 30, 40 years because there was a false eyewitness. I read somewhere, it's probably the best thing in that book that I've read, thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Very dangerous, and you're a loser if you do. There are people in prison right now serving life sentences because there was a false witness. Somebody said, he did it, I saw him, I saw her do it. And a jury hears this and go, well, it's an eyewitness, but you don't know. That eyewitness may have something against you, may have something to get even on, say, this person did something to me or said something to me in the past, and this is my opportunity to get even. Or maybe somebody made him an offer. They said, you point a finger to this individual, you say they did it, and we'll chop 15 years off of your sentence. So in my life, that's been very disappointing when I meet people that believe in something that is negative about another person without any evidence. And I said before, and I'll say it again, lack of evidence doesn't necessarily mean that the rumor isn't true. But I'd rather fall on that side where I hear something that is disgusting about someone else and I refuse to believe it, and it turns out to be true, than to have it be that what I heard is not true about somebody, but I believe it and I go and spread it. And if you're doing that, to anybody, you're a loser. You really are. You're a scumbag. Talk about S-Wing. This company makes a hammer that I always used as a kid. My father had his hammer. My father's hammer looked like it was from the mid-1960s, and it was. My hammer was an S-Wing, and it was the one with the leather handle. It was like a full tang, like a knife, went all the way from the top. It was one piece of steel right through the other, and big fan of that hammer. So, big fan of this company. Now I have a company that has a similar look, but it's a German hammer, and that one is probably a little bit better. But I've always used these products here. Let's see what's going on here. So, what else can we talk about here? It is the weekend, it's Friday. In the old days, Friday meant the Donnie and Marie show. Does not mean that anymore, although I did meet them both backstage a few years ago. Very nice people. Marie was nice, but we didn't talk to her as much. Marie was nice, though, that she gave my daughter Isabella a guitar pick on stage, tossed it, my daughter caught it, and then we lost it, right? LAPD. I don't know why they keep going over my house. All right, you found me. All right. So anyway, yeah, she lost it after the show. She dropped it somewhere, and she was like, I lost the pick. So we had left because we were backstage. We were talking to Donnie and Marie. But like I said, I spoke to him a lot longer. He really talked to us. Like he was talking to me, and I was talking about the old days. And I'll tell you what we're talking about. We're talking about the old days with the Donnie and Marie show, how it would come on Fridays and how it would kick off my weekend. Then I told him about Saturday morning cartoons, and how the Jackson 5, they were a cartoon, and then the Osmonds had their cartoon. And he's like, yeah, he goes, those were good days. I go, yep, they really were. I really enjoyed the 70s because I had a good childhood back then. Really enjoyed it. And so anyway, we talked there for a while, probably like 20-25 minutes with Donnie, and then we left the backstage. We went out, and I was informed my daughter lost the pick. So I went back, and security was there, and Donnie was like maybe 10 feet in, and I explained to security what had happened, and they were nice. They go, oh, go right in. I could have been anybody, but anyway, he trusted me. Went in, Donnie came up to us. He goes, yeah, what's going on? And I said, you know that pick, the guitar pick Marie threw over to us? My daughter had it, she lost it. And he goes, hold on. So he went in the back, grabbed Marie. I don't know what she was doing, but he grabbed her, he brought her out. I grabbed her physically, but he told her to come out. And she came out with a pick in her hand and gave it to my daughter again. So, good memory. I respect that. I respect that they came out and they did that for us. But yeah, they were really nice, really nice. And Donnie, yeah, he was like taking the time to answer questions. He wasn't rushing us, even though there was a lot of people waiting to talk to him. He was, you know, probably thinking, I'll get to them when I finish with these people. So we spoke to him for a while. And then another nice guy that we met a few years ago, Wayne Newton. Yeah, Wayne Newton, really nice guy. So we went to see his concert. It was more like a story time. You know, he talked most of the time. He sang a couple of songs, but most of it was just talking. So we had front row, and he was like literally maybe 12 feet away from us, very short distance. And he kept coming and singing to us. My daughters were little back then, so we got more attention. He came over a few times, and then the concert finished. And I really enjoyed it because, you know, I'm a fan of Wayne Newton. And I'll tell you, I became a fan of Wayne Newton when I saw an episode of Bonanza. He was on it one time, and he was a little kid, and he had a father who was really tough on him. So, show finishes, Wayne Newton goes on the side. We had those passes that we were going to meet him. So after everybody left, we met Wayne Newton. Nice guy. I was surprised how, you know, as they say, personable he was. So we talked to him for about 15-20 minutes. We took pictures. He signed autographs for us. And then we went on the other side to buy some t-shirts. And we got there was a lady, and then there was a young girl selling these things. And so we're talking, they didn't have our size, and the girl went to the back and found our size, and we were the last ones remaining. Everybody had gone, everybody went home. We were still there talking to them. And then we were talking to the girl, and it's like, oh, you work for Wayne Newton. She looked kind of young, you know, and she goes, oh, Wayne Newton's my father. So we talked to her for like 30 minutes there. And then Wayne Newton came out again, and we talked to him. So really good experience. I can't say enough, you know, for Wayne Newton. I had a really good experience. People like that you appreciate. You know, other people that look your way and shun you, those people, you know, there's a place for them. So, another helicopter. There's an app that you can click onto, and it'll tell you at this time this helicopter was flying over this area. And now I hear the sirens. I love cold water. Love cold water. I have 3 cousins of a particular family, and they lived in a house that had the best water that I've ever tasted out of the tap. So I'd go to their house. I was a kid. I wasn't that big. I was about that big. And I would go to their house and running around, you get thirsty. I'd go to the water. I'd let it run for like 10, 15 seconds, and then I'd put the glass underneath, and the water, it would come out like ice. And it was delicious. I mean, it was like it had the right minerals in there. It gave it the right flavor. And I drink the water, and I used to love going over there more for the water than anything else. You know? This water's good too. But this water is filtered. You know, so, but it's really good. Now look at these cats, and sometimes, you know, we go on vacation, I don't see them for a while, so, you know, when I'm here I give them some food, but when I'm not here, they survive. If you left a dog outside, and these are not my cats, these are stray cats. My cats, you know, they get taken care of. We bring them to a place, like a cat hotel, when we go on vacation, but these outdoor cats, they survive. I don't know what they hunt. I don't know if they're capturing wolverines at night. And then the other funny thing is, sometimes at night I'll put a little bit of food here. The cats will show up, they start eating, and then a possum comes and he joins them. You know, the possum does not try and bite the cats don't fight, they get along. You know, I think the cats and the possum think they're the same thing. They think they're the same thing. Anyway, I may be back, I may not be, I don't know, you never know. You know, I don't really plan these things. I'm not really like a plan guy. I go as it feels. You know, when I used to go somewhere when I was younger, I didn't plan it really, you know. I mean, I had a vague idea. I would say I'm thinking of going to, like, let's, for example, say Maine. But I wouldn't plan out all the details, you know. It would have to be something simple for me to plan it out like that. I usually would just go, even if I didn't have enough money. There's been times where I've been caught without money, and I was stuck. And that's because I didn't plan it out. When you plan it out, you bring a good amount of money with you just in case something happens. I've been in situations where the money was light. And if not for the kindness of others, I'd still be stranded today, you know, with a big beard, you know, something like that, living off of returning cans. But yeah, I've been caught in situations where, you know, I always say, if I only had a few bucks, if I only had a few bucks right now, I'd be okay. I'll give you a simple example. When I was younger, I would take the public transportation everywhere, and I would only bring enough money for the train, the subway, to go and to come back, and for a bus ride. And I would bring a few dollars to get maybe a Big Mac or a quarter pounder with cheese, something like that, but nothing more. So in my pocket there would be only a few dollars jingling around there against the edges of the pockets. So this has happened a few times, not once. So one time I was way out on the train system. I got off the train, I walked around, did a little bit of a tour, and then I put my hand in my pocket and I go, oh, I thought I had another dollar to get back home. Because back in those days, the train was 85 cents. So what would I do? Instead of trying to sneak on the train when nobody was looking, I would walk home. 8 miles. So I would walk home, and then it would happen again, like not back to back, but months and months would go by, and I'd reach in my pocket and I go, oh, I thought I had some change in there, and I go, guess we're walking home. I'd walk home. That happened quite a few times. 8-mile walk. And that's the way I used to do it. I used to bring just enough money for whatever I needed. And for years I had emergency money in my wallet. And how much was it? It was $1. So I would take a dollar bill and I'd stuff it in my wallet somewhere away from the regular money. And that would be my emergency money in case that I didn't have a dollar in my pocket. I would reach and pull out the emergency dollar bill and get a token for the train and come home. So I meet my wife. I met my wife, but I meet my wife in the story, and I don't know how it came up, but I was cleaning out my wallet or something, and I had the $1 emergency fund in there. And she goes, what's that? And I said, well, that's my emergency money in case something happens. She goes, $1? She goes, you think you'd have like a $100 bill in there? She goes, that's not emergency money. She goes, emergency money is if you had like a $100 bill, then you could get your way out of something if you needed food or if you needed a ride back beyond the train. And then I started thinking about it. I go, that's probably a better option if I had a higher denomination in my wallet. So I ended up retiring the $1 and I went up to a 20. Because a 20 can get you more. And then what's the funny thing? Ever since I met my wife, I have not had an emergency like that. So my brain said that it's better not to be in that kind of a situation than to listen to your wife nag at you for being in that situation in the first place. Yeah, so I don't get in that kind of situation. You will not hear me say, you know what, I ran out of money and I walked 8 miles to get back home. Especially these days. Probably give a call on the phone and say, hey, can you wire me some money? Or something like that. But yeah, the other thing I haven't done in many, many years, actually since I've known my wife, many years now, run out of gas. I've not run out of gas on my car. I used to do it all the time. I would see it on E, and somehow I was not convinced. I was not convinced that the E meant empty. So I'd keep going and going. I'd pass by a gas station. I go, okay, next one I want to definitely stop. And then somewhere along the way, the car would die. And usually in the worst spot. My car has died near railroad tracks, where I had to really push it, kind of like slightly uphill too. Not like this uphill, but slightly. I had to push it with all my energy to get it off the tracks because it was right like on the track thing. That was one time. Another time my car stopped in a rotary. Rotary. Stopped right there, ran out of gas. I had to push it out. Another time, ran out of gas. Bad part of town, late at night, ran out of gas. Another time I ran out of gas and there was a huge traffic jam behind me because I was blocking everybody. I got out of the car, I pushed it. Then somebody else saw me pushing it by myself. They jumped out and helped. What else? I've run out quite a few times, but now for decades I haven't run out. So, and I'm very proud of that. I haven't run out in a long time. Because I don't see what the problem is. You see it's on near E. Say you have a quarter tank. Stop somewhere. Gas stations are all over the place. But I would test it. I got one time I was in the Utah mountains. Deep in the mountains. With no civilization in sight. And I was on the road. It was nighttime. I could barely see 50 feet in front of me. It was really dark. Winding road going up the mountain. Why am I going up the mountain with no gas? I don't know. It's a good question. Thought I'd find a gas station up there. I didn't want to go back down and have to repeat the whole thing. So I'm going and going and going, and it's getting really steep now. And you know, the more the steepness, the harder the steepness, the more the engine is, you know, trying to create the power to go up, and the more fuel you're burning. And I'm already on E for a long time, many miles. I'm on E. And I could just see myself, and the road is narrow. No lights. The only lights on the road are my car lights. So, finally I get to the top, and there's a mama's boy. Finally I get to the top, and there's like a campsite. But it's got bathrooms, you know, but there's no one there. It's just me. And I see, you know, it's like, you know, like street lights, they're on, you know, and I look in the distance and I see a mobile gas station, and I go, it's closed, but I'm stopping here for the night. Even I made it this far, I'm not gonna chance it. Imagine if I ran out of gas in the middle of the forest, then what? You know, wait for some grizzly bear to come out. So I pull in there, I open up the doors, I was stretching out a little bit, I had the radio going. Mama's boy going home. Give mama a kiss on the cheek. So I sat there for a while, and I said, I'll just stay here. The gas station, I think, was opening up at 7 a.m. I saw the sign on the door. I think it was like 11 at night. So I just felt like it was safer to stay there and then get gas in the morning and leave. So I'm there for about an hour, and all of a sudden I see a nice truck pull in. Guy comes out of the truck, looks at me, he goes, "You out of gas?" I go, "I am." He's like, give me like a 1 second. Pulls keys out from his pocket, opens up the door of the gas station, flips the switches on, the lights come on, pump is on, everything. He comes out, he says, "Get the gas you need." I said, "Thank you so much, I really appreciate that." So I went over there, I filled up my tank. I've said this story before, I know, but I'm saying it again. So I fill up the tank, and it was $15. I had a 15-gallon tank. Gas was like 99 cents a gallon. I gave him a 20. As the song says, I said, "Keep the change." And he said, "Thank you." I would have given him $50. I mean, he really bailed me out on that one. And then I got in my little car and I left. Got back on the road. You know, I mean, there's been times where if my car died where it should have died, I would be in a jam. I don't even know how I would have made it out. You know, no phones up there. But luckily I had more gas than I thought. Even though the needle was on E for a very long time, I had some gas in there, obviously. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. It's almost dinner time. Get some dinner, watch the show Alone. I know I have a new episode, and not only that, I'm watching Alone Australia. Why they call it Alone Australia? It's filmed in New Zealand. you want to be accurate, call it Alone New Zealand, right? Call it Alone Australia, and it's not in Australia. I'd like to go to Australia and visit the Outback. The Outback, yeah. Ever since I saw that movie Awaken Fright, yeah, it's a lot of that's a weird movie. Weird movie. Very strange. They even have a whole scene in there where they're hunting kangaroo, and the kangaroo are being killed because they borrowed footage from some hunter that was filming, like he was going out and killing kangaroo, and he gave the film company footage. And so you actually see kangaroo or kangaroo being shot to death in this film, but that's not, that's not the weird. There's other stuff in there that goes beyond, weird. Good movie though. I actually was in the theater with the guy, the director, Ted Kotchkoff. The guy that directed First Blood. Met him, talked to him. Got to talk to him for a while. And he directed that movie, and then they remastered it and looked pretty good. So I like movies like that, drama, suspense. Movies I don't like, Star Wars. I can't stand Star Wars. Horrible movie. I eat the ice, but sometimes the ice sticks to the top here. Some kind of physics involved. Physics. Little motorcycle. Sometimes you go to a foreign country and you see these motorcycles. They're half motorcycle, half looks like the back end of a truck, and it has a canopy, canvas canopy, and they got maybe 35 horsepower. People driving them around. I always wanted one of those. Just drive around. You get I don't know what you get, about 70 miles per gallon on those. Very light. Fill it up with a couple of sandwiches in the back there, a couple of beverages. Go deep in the desert or up a mountain, kick back, have a sandwich, with some ginger ale. I remember one time I was in a tent. And it was raining outside, very hard rain. It was just like brrr. And I had seen a Leave It to Beaver episode. So I had seen a Leave It to Beaver episode where the Wally and the beaver are in a tent and it's raining, and I think the beaver asks Wally if it's true that if you touch, this is a canvas tent, I think. So if you touch the tent with your finger when it's raining, does it start to leak inside? And on the show, it did. And on the show, it did leak. It did leak. Beaver touched it, and it was drip, drip, drip inside. And when I saw that show, I said, that cannot be true. Why would that be true? Why would they make a tent that leaks that easily in the rain just by touching it? So I was in a situation where I'm in a tent and it's raining like hell outside. The cats and the dogs are coming down. And the first thing that popped into my head, I wonder if that Leave It to Beaver episode where they touched the tent with their finger and it starts dripping inside, I wonder if that's true. Like I belong to Mythbusters, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm contemplating. Should I touch it? Should I not touch it? And I said, I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. So I put my finger and I touch it, and immediately drip, 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 drip. Now you think that's convincing enough, right? No, not to me. I needed proof. I'm thinking maybe that's a fluke. Maybe that's, not related to my finger. So I touch over here, and immediately drip, drip, drip. And I did that like 4 or 5 places. Boom, boom, boom. And so I'm in the tent in my sleeping bag, and I'm looking at the water dripping on me. You know, it was like a faucet that just won't stop dripping. So I said, I'm sleepy, I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to go to sleep. So I put myself in my sleeping bag. I went to sleep. Next day I get up around 7 o'clock in the morning, and everything inside my tent is drenched. Everything. The sleeping bag is like, it's like a wet mattress, a wet sponge. All my clothes, they're all wet. Everything was wet. And it taught me a lesson. It taught me a lesson. It taught me that if you touch a tent with your finger while it's raining, if the tent is made out of canvas, it'll start dripping inside. It'll start dripping inside. That's the way it is. So don't do it if it's raining. You live and learn. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I have to test it myself to make sure that what I'm believing is actually true. If it's not true, I don't want to believe it. But if it is true, I don't want to do it again. If when it comes to that. So yeah, I remember that. I'll never forget that. I was in there, and it was crazy rain. When I say crazy rain, it was like a storm times 3. Times 3. Let's see the crows flying by. I know where the crows go at night. And you never see a crow suffer a heart attack while it's flying and fall down. Like, I've never seen a bird flying overhead and then, there's like 20 of them, and then one of them has a heart attack or a stroke and just crashes into the ground. I don't know, I guess when birds are ready to die, they hang around on the ground. Yeah, a bunch of crows going by. I'm a big fan of flying. I like to get one of those paragliders, fill it up with kerosene, and then take off, land on Gilligan's Island or something. Anyway, I'm going to go inside, do an investigation, what's going on with our dinner. And I may be back, maybe I won't be back, you never know. You never know. You never know who lives and dies. You never know. All right, ciao for now.